Hello out there. My name's David Horton, and I'm proud to be one of the pastors at St. Luke's Methodist here in Houston. Thanks for joining me today. Today's the third in a 6-week series I'm doing on 1st and 2nd Peter. Peter was writing to a flock of Jewish Christians who had been scattered, and they could not meet together. They couldn't be together even if they wanted to. The wars of their time, the politics of their time, the economy of their time, and the persecutions they faced all contributed to a season of social distancing, if you will. These people had been scattered across what is now the country of Turkey and the Roman Empire. It was Asia, and they couldn't be together. Peter calls them the exiles in the dispersion. They've been forced out of their home cities and hometowns because of situations completely out of their control. They are exiles, and they are in the dispersion. They've been scattered, and they cannot meet together. So let me read you this passage from 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 8 through 9. Finally, all of you have unity of spirit, sympathy, love for one another, a tender heart, and a humble mind. Do not repay evil for evil or abuse for abuse, but on the contrary, repay with a blessing. It is for this that you were called, that you might inherit a blessing. So that first verse, verse 8, it is instruction for how we are to treat one another as Christians. It's how Christians are to treat other Christians in times of stress, when things are rapidly changing, when the situation is not ideal. Well, times like these. And so how are we to be treating with one another? He's very concrete. He says, be united in spirit. If you can't be united in person, at least be united in spirit. Have sympathy for one another. Sympathy means you feel what somebody else feels. You may not agree with them. You may not even like them. Peter's not asking you to like them. Have sympathy for them. Feel what they feel. Love each other. Imagine that, Christians loving each other, especially online. Be tender-hearted toward one another, and be humble. Be humble. Now that second verse, verse 9, is about how Christians should be engaging the world, okay? Remember, these are Christians who have been persecuted and are being persecuted in Peter's time. They can't get a job because they're Christians. Their neighbors are quote-unquote outing them to the Roman police, and they're being rounded up and imprisoned for being Christians. If they work in a business or own a business, they're not likely to have many clients or many customers. People won't buy from them because they're Christian. They'll go to the nice Roman place down the street where there aren't those Christians who run the place, right? That's what persecution usually looked like. And so how are Christians to respond to that kind of hard, unfair circumstance? With blessing. Repay with a blessing. That's your word today, blessing. Peter says repay evil with blessing. And he defines blessing by its opposite, evil. When people are evil toward us, we do not respond in kind. We always respond with blessing. There's a concept in sociology called Non-Complementarianism. You heard me. Non-Complementarianism. Okay, and it's the opposite of complementarianism. Non-complementarianism is when somebody behaves a certain way toward you, and you respond the opposite toward what that person would expect. So non-complementarianism means looks like somebody offends you. Right, offends you in some kind of way. Maybe they cut you off in traffic. They do some kind of harm to you. Well, what you could do is respond in kind. That would be complementarianism. You offend them right back. You return fire. You give them what they deserve to get. You repay evil with evil. Non-complementarianism does the exact opposite. Responds to their behavior with the exact opposite of that behavior. You compliment their shoes or how they look today. You're kind to them. Dr. King said, "Darkness will not drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that." That's being non-complementarian, right? That's repaying evil with blessing. Jesus was the first one to say it, right? He says it in the Sermon on the Mount. "You shall love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." What an enemy deserves to get is another enemy. What persecutors deserve to get is more persecutors. But we're not going to be we're going to be non-complementarians. We're going to repay evil with blessing, and so we're going to love our enemies. We're going to answer an enemy with just more love, and we're going to answer persecution with prayer. Be a blessing. That's my challenge for you and for myself this week. Be a non-complementarian. When you just come across somebody who just rubs you the wrong way, either in person or online, repay evil with blessing. And one by one, we'll shine more light in this darkness. God bless you and have a great week.